What's going on, YouTube? Gonna look at cars and some vintage stuff. Well, I use that term loosely. Older things. I guess we're 2024. Vintage, what would that be considered? I mean, for antique cars, you have to go back 25 years. But we might not consider that so antique. Vintage. Do we still consider the 60s and 70s, or is that like historical stuff at this point? Well, let's take a look. We'll just say for me, because it comes out naturally for me, we'll say some vintage old stock stuff that I found. Also, we got lucky, and I want to look because I put them on Instagram. I love these two trucks, stock chassis, and I should have got more. I saw more of them, left them, only got one. Should probably had two. It's okay. If I got a second one, I'd feel uncomfortable opening it, and actually, I wanted it for the chassis parts. So I'd like the stock ride height trucks with the regular wheels on the M2. So we're going to take a look at that as well. Let's get to it. We could do an appreciation for M2 in a minute, but let's take a look at one vintage find. Sometimes when you go to the vintage stores, you see the bags of cars, the dreaded bags of cars. If you be careful, and the price point's there, typically you can get a good casting once in a while. And I found a few during that searches over the years. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at what we found. Tomica. Old school Tomica pocket cars. Back when they were still sold in North America routinely. It's kind of sporadic. I think Walmart tried it for about a year and a half or 2 years. They're gone. We don't really see Tomica anymore. So there they go. This is a 76 Tomica, 1976. This is a 1/67 scale. Look at this Mercedes. It was all chipped up. I did a hack job, paint job on it just to clean it up because it was in decent shape. Axles are a little bent, but it's decent. And it's all there. All the parts are there. Even the hood ornament is still on the vehicle. Separate detail for the headlights. So it's a multi-piece construction. We have the body, the windscreen, the interior, the headlights, chassis. Not really played with hard, but these axles are like the old school Hot Wheels cars that had the real thin suspension style. This car has suspension, but it also has soft, very thin axles. So this car had them bent up, but it's a great casting in it. It's a 1/64 scale version of the 280 SE that I have in 1/18 scale, which is on the channel. So if you want to see that car, check it out. Model Car Group, an excellent brand out of Europe, does 1/18 scale cars in diecast, and they do a really good job. You can see in the reflection how chipped up it was. I didn't take the car apart. I didn't want to. I just painted it silver. It's in actually good condition for being out of its package, probably since when it came out, so it survived pretty well. So this is a good, nice casting to have. And I have a few of these Tomicas. They're heavy. I've found over the years for very low prices ones in the card, but they're expensive cars. I mean, if you want to get these cars, they're out there, but a lot of people want you to pay a lot of money for them. So anyway, that'll go for the mainline vintage collection that I have. Small collection, relatively speaking, but it's very curated, I'd say. I don't really go for everything just because it's there. A lot of Tomica stuff's kind of silly with the scaling. If it's a heavier truck or something like that, it gets to be really small scale, so I'm not really into that. All right, so another little thing, and this could probably be a short little video. We're trying to fill in as we find cars. Not a lot of stuff I've been wanting, not a lot of stuff I've been seeing. So we're just going through the doldrums here of summer, but I'm sure towards the fall we're going to have some great things coming. If anybody doesn't know, so Tomica Limited Vintage cars, they're doing the Astro vans, 85 vintage, 84. They're awesome. So hopefully I can get those. I have them reserved, pre-ordered if you say. They should be coming soon. Also, the North American spec Nissan pickup truck, before it was the hard body. Talking like 82, 84, 85, 6, 7. Those like the 80s ones with the quad headlights. Those are going to be available too. And so those are probably a pre-order as well. We'll try to get those as soon as they're available. I know those Astros are going to go quick. Look at this. This is from the Green Dot, or the Green Post days of Greenlight. The good old school high quality Greenlight. Still a little goofy with the big tires. That's why I didn't get a lot of Greenlight back then. Because the castings were good, but they were kind of chunky. So, but the Crown Victoria casting is a great casting. This is a rare car, so I'm glad I get it. This is new in the box. Got it for really cheap. Didn't do much to these cars. I did take some of the flashing off the tires. This is a set, and what's cool about this is I never really looked at this set when it came out closely. I didn't realize that this was actually Indianapolis. I thought I was just thinking it was New York, I was looking at that with these two. But Indianapolis with the dude, I didn't take him out. One of the first times they were using these characters. They didn't have the hobby shop, I don't think, yet. Because this is 2010. Greenlight 08, 7. So when you first started really seeing a bunch of them. So older stuff. Cool casting. Everybody loves this. The perennial Crown Victoria. Everybody, they've had this car in the lineup every year. I don't think it's never not been offered in some form every year. If you're a Crown Victoria collector and you do Greenlight, I can't believe how many of these you could probably find. A lot of hard to find ones too. I don't have a lot. So I wanted to compare it to my Marauder. I was smart enough, at least back then, when the Marauder was out, of the first round, I got one, and I don't even see my eBay. This is a loose one. Luckily, I've kept it up. I just cleaned it a little bit recently because it's been on the shelf. It's not a dusty environment, but it does get a little, film. This is a tremendous casting, and back when Greenlight was doing a great job, this is one of the first ones that scaled down I had a long time this car, so I did something silly one time, but that's Sharpie, so that'll come off. Why I did that, I have no idea, but anyway, they started using these smaller tires, and they were backspacing the post. See, it can be done. There can be people that pay attention to where the wheel should be, and not having to use a situation like this. Because these tires were being on all the trucks, but they just didn't have a steel wheel to use that were Crown Victoria. So, what's funny, because they'll cast this, which is kind of a Crown Vic wheel, and this, obviously, which they've used subsequent on the Fox bodies, but this is real close to the Marauder wheels, just enough to pass in 1/64 scale, so that's why this one is so sought after, especially in black. I think when the first Marauders were out, this is a really early in Greenlight. I think it was just this color in red, maybe? I can't remember the second. I know there was two. This car was great. I think it was in the muscle car series. Pretty sure it was. This car, Mercury Marauder, was cool because they didn't use the 4.6 single cam. They used a twin cam. So the 32 valve heads from the Cobra. So this car had the 32 valve. And I think that motor also was used in a Lincoln. Maybe the Mark 8 or 8. Mark 8, maybe. One of Lincoln's had a 32 valve too. But this car, basically Cobra heads, intake, and dual exhaust, 4-speed automatic. I think a 331 axle, something like that. 4-wheel disc brake, Watts linkage. So it had a center link here to tie in the rear end, even though it was a live axle. Car's awesome. Center console with floor shift. So console shift, wasn't a column automatic car. I think this car was 2 or 3 years, and then they dropped it. came after the Impala SS, which is kind of funny. The V8 Caprice one, not the... Because they had the regular front-wheel drive Impala at this point, SS car, and the Monte Carlo. But this was basically a new Panther car, redesigned. Car came out in 98. And then I think 02, 03 cars were the first ones. Also, they had a cool concept car at the auto show during this time frame, which was a two-door convertible Marauder. So it was this car basically, but they stretched the front door, made it a drop top, and it looked great. I think they shortened the wheelbase a little bit too. It's a cool car. I actually saw that car in person, and it was the best. You know, the only thing that would be better is that they made a station wagon. I'm looking at this just because I'm appreciating this casting. It's actually pretty decent. But let's look at the stuff that's new to the collection now. I don't know if I can get this hood open. I can't remember if well, we'll look at it in a minute with the silver car, but yeah, this looks close to what this will be. Let's see if this will open. This has been closed since it's been packaged, which is many years. Yeah, this is not going to cooperate. Right in here, if we look at this, let's take a look. Does this look a lot different? No. I mean, it looks a little different than these. Let me see if the taxi will come. Yeah, taxi will go. Yeah, it is, which is good. So this has more of the regular look Crown Victoria. They have this huge plastic engine cover. There would have been a composite intake manifold down the middle. And then composite plastic valve covers or rocker covers. Now this car, the 32 valve, has the aluminum intake. And they'll have aluminum valve rocker covers. They're all aluminum engines. But the upper intakes, I think, were alloy. Can't remember what the lower intake, the upper intake was. I don't know if the lower intake was plastic. It might have been. Ford was very known for that, especially this time. Now, the other thing is cool is this is a different core. So they didn't just do Crown Vic and put a black grille. They actually did the Marauder front end, which was slightly different. And the treatment on the headlights had that blackout. So that's correct as well. This is also supposed to be depicting a 10 Crown Victoria. No, an 06? Oh, 06, okay. So, 06 was like the year when they started upgrading the brakes on these cars. And they had a bigger wheel. They used to have like 16-inch steelies, 15 or 16s, and then they went to a 17-inch, I think. So what happened was with this car is they knew that basically they had the monopoly this time frame. Crown Vic Charger was starting to come available, but they needed bigger brakes, and so they had to make bigger wheels. So the suspension got revised, the steering rack did, and they added the bigger brakes. So they had a much more proficient vehicle for pursuit. And this is post that. This is supposed to be pre that. Oh, this had a big brake package too, but it wasn't like what was on the later cars. This is pre update. Now let's look at this. Indianapolis yellow cab, old cab company. They got some stuff in the back, but this is it. That's their phone number and all that. Let's look what the fare was back in the day. I think it's double that now. It's maybe $5. Something. I don't know. Indianapolis people, let me know. I don't look at the cab. You don't see these too much anymore too. It's right before Uber and Lyft and all those people. So this is still a little bit more common. I don't know how they can even compete nowadays with a small market like us. Old number 9. This got a little chewed up. So paint came off of that. That's easy to fix. I got it rolling pretty good. It was a little wobbly. This one was worse. This one actually, I'm going to have to take the wheels out the axles. I didn't do that yet. I don't even know if it's worth it. Maybe we should just leave it in its original condition. It's not bad. And you can see they have that wheel. And now this is looks like a police car because we can see it has the door trim delete. So that's kind of cool. And it has dual exhaust as well. You can see the rear cores are different. I really think this has been retired. I don't know. I know they have the re-release of this car. I didn't buy one yet. They're not too expensive. They can be between like $10 around there online for the new re-released ones. I haven't seen a black yet, but I've seen the silver and the red. So I don't know. Maybe there's a black. Maybe I missed it. Car really came in those colors. I don't think it had white and some of the other Grand Marquis colors, obviously. But that deep red, the silver, pretty sure silver was the color, and black, of course. They're classics now, and they actually hold their value. They're pretty good. They're some of the clean ones. They're almost more money than the PAL SS of like the 93 to the 96 cars. You can get a nice PAL SS like I don't know, 17 to 25 grand. These cars could be 30 sometimes. Sometimes cheaper. I mean, I got a lot of them have miles and they're beat up, but some of the clean cars, under 100,000 miles, they're pretty good. They didn't make too many of them. Again, this is kind of like people weren't buying these cars really. It was kind of like in that zone where they weren't that popular still. People liked them, but now, yeah, they're cool. All right, so we looked at that. Now, let's go with some other stuff. Let's look at this. Let's look at some dualies. We'll do that, and then we'll do the fire truck. I got this really cool fire truck we're going to look at, which is amazing. We'll talk about that. And I'll probably go on a little bit too long about that as well. But, one of these dualies come out from M2. Not very long ago. Maybe the beginning of the year, last year. They're amazing. I love them. The shallow bed, I'm getting over it. It is what it is. I think the scale is the best. I've really been thinking about, big versus small. If you take the average of all my regular sedans, cars, smaller pickup trucks, if you're looking at the size of these dualies compared to that, they match up fairly well. There's so many over the few, short time we've gotten them. I mean, just so many. Been doing a lot of these trucks. Been looking out of them, looking through the collection, pining the ones I like a lot. Obviously these guys. This one. Of course, this was a knockout. Although this one out of the set's not as high priced. I like it the best. So, I got some lifted ones too, right? I lifted this Coke one, put the suspension on this. They also have a few that I don't have. So there's been plenty of them. Let's back this up. Now, look at these. We know we got a little bit of variety. I know I got some more somewhere. These coming out of, and what is this? Where's my, there it is. This is the release series 43 of M2 haulers. 73 Super 30s. A two regular cab truck and crew cab. 3+3. Really, really good. This is like the second one of this package. The other first one I don't have yet. It's the orange and white with the lowered truck on a trailer, but it has this packaging. It's got this really cool door badge right here, quarter badge. That would be kind of cool up there where the other two are. So I don't know. We got the back. And we got the barcode and everything if you need to see that. What else do we have? It is one of 9,600 pieces and there's 750 chases, which is pretty standard. Yeah, they have a lot of these. They all hit it once in the Walmarts that I saw, and they're gone pretty much now. So I had my chance to get a couple, but I didn't. It's okay. I got what I needed. I'll cherish what I have. some of these, sometimes you get stuff that you really want to keep. And this is it. So, here we go. So I had to do some corrections to these. I should have done it on camera. Maybe the next time I'll get these dualies. Because when you get a regular cab dually... Let me see if I need to wipe this real quick. Hold on. Is that better? There we go. That's good. Gotta make sure these look nice. Okay. So this is like a poppy red. It's like a real soft, earthy red. Really, really pretty. And then we have this pale green truck. That's just tremendous. And I did a little bit of work to this one, more so than the red. Great set. So if we flip this over, of course, it does have a plastic base. It's unfortunate. It would be nice if it was metal. I wonder why they chose that. Especially because this comes out in more of the premium lines that usually have metal-based vehicles with it. So it's funny that they chose the metal. They might change that. They might be getting some tooling ready for it. But it is a longer chassis. It's very similar in construction to the regular trucks. The non-dually ones that are the short beds, but this is all extended. It's all different, so maybe it was just some of the cost. They still have an extremely narrow rear end, and the original axle only can fit the wheels up to here. So this wheel is basically over here, where that wheel is, and they just pass it off as being, this is what this is what they look like, folks. They look really odd. Okay, they ruin the whole truck. They have a great truck going, and they get that funny wheels going on, and I'm sure they're like, well, people either going to keep them in the package or they're going to fix it anyway. It also gives you room, if you're a customizer, to put some big tires back there, so it's fine, whatever. They need the space to do this, because if they didn't have these tires, they probably would, and there's our answer. I couldn't really put much spacing behind these, and I played with this truck. Forgive the roll, not touch. Basically, you need all that room. But it does offer a problem with this, and that's probably why I didn't release only but one so far stock ride height truck. That was a regular cab dually that I've seen. Hopefully I have more of these. That's the reason I wanted more of these trucks, really, to have these chassis. I can do more of these. I did raise it, so when you get this one per se, when you have it stock, this is basically slammed down. This is not correct. A 1-ton axle setup is going to have some pretty big springs. It's going to have some travel to it, and it's going to be not level. So I didn't exaggerate this truck as much because this one, will be set up with more heavy loads. This one, if you look at these trucks in real life even, these 2-wheel drive trucks look like this. Especially the 8-foot bed trucks with the regular cab. Shows you how much that'll hold it up. This looks exceptionally well with this. It looks really good. I mean, it really does. I corrected this camper a little bit. I've added some stock, plastic stock, to get this up a little bit so it's not sliding all the way down, because they did sit a little high of the bed rails typically, because most of this was set into the bed. And it's good that Greenlight never created a valley for that, because these shallow beds are fine. So this really looks like a period rig. I had a hitch on this. I'd taken it off. I don't like the way it looked. It's going to be similar to the setup I have on my OG truck, which is this. These Greenlight hitches are tremendously accurate, and they work well with any type of trailer, whether it's M2, Greenlight, or Auto World trailer. It'll work. So it does a really good job, and they look very accurate. Also put gooseneck ball, so got in this one as well. They have these half pre-drilled. So all you got to do is, if the truck is blocked up like this, you just find the witness mark there basically and just drill. It's not hard. You can hand drill this. You don't need a power drill. You don't really need a power drill for metal, these trucks. If you want to take your time and do a clean hole, you can actually do hand drill. And you can get your work done, and it's very accurate. So I feel like this turned out pretty good. I did put my clear on. Someone had asked about the clear. It's no crazy clear. I'll show it again. The chrome on M2 and Greenlight's pretty delicate, so if you put these in your pocket a couple of times, they'll start wearing the chrome off pretty fast. So some people use like future floor polish for things. I just don't think it's as durable. You'll see people use it when they restore die-cast cars and the windscreens and and the plastic, the clear plastic is all like cloudy, scratched. Well, they'll sand it and then they'll do the reduce, they'll increase the grit until it's good, and then they'll dunk. Well, this one is just to protect it. And what I like about this is it's acrylic, it's not lacquer, it's not really toxic. You can use it with the water clean up, and it dries very well. There's no really loss in shine or anything like that. So it's all over that rear bumper. It's on the two-tone, so it doesn't wear off. It's on the door, and it's on all that. So now we have some protection. Let's take a look. What's also nice about this, we got the stock 350 or 454, whatever. I've seen these trucks with 4-speeds. They get 350s in them if they're lower spec, especially if it's two-wheel drive. Camper special trucks usually got big blocks, but the 350 is pretty healthy. When you had trucks, they got the stricter emissions stuff that killed horsepower a little bit later in the game than the cars did. They were kind of not protected, but they reduced the amount of effect the EPA had on trucks for a while, and they took a little bit longer to get the heavy stringent stuff. So it was funny, towards the middle, late 70s, 80s, the trucks were actually had the higher horsepower, even though they're heavier. And that's why people were kind of like getting around it by, the Dodge Little Express and the Warlock, and some Chevy stuff was produced, and they were kind of quick. They had a little bit hopped up motors. They didn't have the catalytic converters immediately like the cars got. Things like that. This truck is awesome. It took a little bit of work. The tires were a little bit out of round. They had a little bit of flashing on them. I had to redo the axles. I had to drill out the wheels. I had to do all that to make it true, because they're pretty good casting. The wheels are actually a good casting. Typically, the holes in the wheel in the back are fine. They just need cleaned up, so then they'll roll without any wobble. So this truck is doing well. This is the first crew cab too that the hood was able to open on. So it seemed like they fixed some of that casting issue where it was getting hung up, where we can actually open the hood. So that was kind of a nice surprise. Black interior, I haven't decided if I want to do any other color interior yet. If I do change the interior from black because it looks nice, it'll be based on if I see a truck in a similar color with a certain interior, I might go for it. A lot of these trucks like this, towards these shades, like the yellows and the reds, they had a darker tan that was available. It wasn't like this. Especially the 73 trucks, was more towards the early 70s. They had like a dark brown, so that might be okay with this. Just don't know. But really the star of the show for me, because it looks great, is this one. Very, very happy to have this truck. I did fix the interior and paint the steering wheel and the instrument panel black, because that's what it would have been. They didn't have color keyed steering wheels like the cars did. In this and the square bodies, I think the 70s, the 60s and 70s trucks, you could get some of the interior, or like the steering wheel and stuff, will be color keyed. But I think later on it just went to black. I don't really see any trucks that had, maybe in the higher trims they might have had like a piece of wood or something, but I think it was pretty much black at this point. But yeah, she's a beaut. Looks good towing stuff. It looks a little small at the goosenecks, even though it would do a gooseneck, but it looks good with like one of these bumper pulls. So I had a hitch on again. I got to put one back on, but that looks really good. Set up, for muscle cars. You're gonna tow some muscle cars. You're gonna tow Porsche, hot rod truck, something like that. So very happy to have it. Hopefully, actually, this would look good too with the boats. That's cool too. So there's all sorts of fun things you can do with this rig. Very period correct look to it. Stunning color, great color. That's a research color. I mean, that's a color that they had. And very few manufacturers are doing that. They can go from this to those wild, Fanta colors and all that stuff. But this is awesome. So this is probably going to be an instant classic. Had a little bit of a blemish there on the white, but it's okay. All right, now let's get to the last vehicle before this goes too long. I was having a little bit of appreciation for these dualies because they're awesome. I love them. Not everybody does. Some people like single wheel trucks. I really want to do one of these single wheel. I was going to bring that up. Here's a competitor's bed, the Greenlight. This is an 8-foot bed. And it is too small. I don't know if you really see that, but it just is smaller. It's not gonna. Basically, it's like that much hanging over. You can see how that would never line up with the body of this. I mean, it's a nice thought. Wheelbase is close. But again, if I have this right here, see how much overhang is over here in the back? Look at that. So again, it's not really usable. Unfortunately, Autoworld doesn't have one either. The only thing you can do, and it would be a pain in the butt, is you'll take the regular M2 short bed truck, and then just you're gonna have to take this out and then put the M2 fender in, and then that would work pretty well. But this all has to be taken off, cut out. So it'd be a process for sure. It's a lot of metal there though, so it wouldn't be hard. I mean, it's not impossible. But I think I'll wait. I almost feel like all I gotta do is tool up another bed, 8-foot bed, regular bed, and we're cooking. So having a 1-ton crew cab single wheel, I mean that changes the game because there's so many commercial applications that look so good with that setup. Construction crew, railroad, I mean municipal, fire department, all that stuff had the single wheel crew cab. So, and especially the Dodges, there were a lot of those Dodges, a lot of the Fords. So hopefully we get that. That'll be cool. You've already done it because everybody's done what they do today. The custom ones, they have the short bed, square body pickup bed with the full crew cab. And they have the modern quote unquote wheelbase like what they have today with the modern trucks. But I want the authentic 8-foot, I feel like. And I guess if I gather up some more cabs and stuff, maybe we'll do one of those just to have fun. But I'd rather have the dually or the single wheel. All right, let's go move these rigs back to parking space. We're having a little parade of trucks today. Lots of trucks. But I prefer it that way. All right. This is also a great one, must say. This one's got a little hitch in its giddy up I gotta fix. It's not bad, but I'll do that later. Okay. What we got next? Well, this truck right here. Code 3 hook and ladder. I mean, it's amazing. This is a American LaFrance truck, Sag Harbor, New York. This is out on the eastern end of Long Island in the Hamptons, basically. It's Sag Harbor. It's the other side of the Hamptons, facing the Sound, basically. If I remember my geography. Very pretty area, but it's exclusive for sure. Some information. 1803. This is the golden age of Code 3. Now, this was something that was always on my radar. I just never really wanted it. Either they were too expensive or I wasn't into this stuff back then. This is talking about like 90s, mid 90s to the middle 2000s. It's kind of when they were hot. I think they went for a while, but if you search their stuff and look for it, that's the bulk of when it was around. This one was a 2003, 2002. I don't even really know how these were even distributed because they really weren't in the store. I mean, you had to do catalog or internet, whatever it was. I don't know. Some people might, so yeah, pipe up on that. Tell me. It's got an acrylic base, but it doesn't have like a top. So I was like, what am I going to do? This one is too finely detailed for it to be out because dusting it's going to be a nightmare. So we actually showed you already what the solution was. This thing is amazing. Now, not all Code 3 is created equal. I've learned after I've looked at this. A lot of the Code 3 stuff was very crude. It was really good. It was 1/64 scale good, and it would look okay on like a layout. But when you got up close to it, it had issues. Like they made a brick nose OBS Ford F-350 cab with the EMS back end, so you had the ambulance body pickup truck, which was, NYPD, which would be a great truck to have. Now, Greenlight's done it for real. I haven't bought one of those yet because they're not wide release and they're like $12, plus shipping. So I was like, that's fine. I'll get one eventually. But a lot of Code 3 stuff, like the fire trucks, they were kind of close, but their wheels were kind of plasticky looking. But this line, and there's a few castings, because I was trying to look at other ones that were made. This one is like a Franklin Mint style fire truck, but those are like 1/24 scale. So this has that accuracy down to 1/64th, and it's even the color of the glass, because I think the fire trucks have their own kind of glass, where this is that greenish glass. I mean, it's bluish. It's awesome. A tremendous, all metal. It's got a metal base that looks plastic, but it's metal. Really, really nice tires and wheels. I didn't have to do anything to it. It's so nice. All die cast. Every piece is separate. And it's just incredible. I got this at one of the antique malls, which is incredible because most people want to see these at $100. I got this really cheap. It was new in the package. They had some other vehicles. I just didn't want them. They had some airport fire trucks, which were really cool. The Oshkosh trucks. I went back to look again just to see if I didn't want them. They're out there, though. Probably at this point, they're all gone. So look at the Tampa work. Look at even though the boxes don't open, do you see how deep they are? They almost look like they're separate pieces glued on, but I think it's all cast. But you can see how deep the relief is right there. That kitty might need some more water, so we'll get him some water in a minute. And my dogs will drink the water bowl, and then he gets left with no water, so I'm always on water patrol. Alright, so I don't know if you can hear the meowing, but he's meowing. We got the stabilizers here, and that's metal. That's actually chrome metal, polished, these pieces. And we'll open them up here in a minute. course, the ladder works, so we'll look at that. It's a snorkel ladder, so it's got the pump on the end, or the spout, or whatever you call it. Got the chrome diamond plate. All the handrails. The controls, which is like, that has a little cover on the controls, but that opens. It's got the floodlights. It's incredible. I mean, you got to be probably a fire person to appreciate all the truck, but it's all there. And then, of course, the front. Now, this is just modern enough to still feel like it's in service. I mean, this is still going to be like a 2000, 2003 truck. So, at this point, probably not too many departments using something this old. But this has the modern look to it. So, it's will transcend some of the decades when it's on a layout. It's cool. I mean, even the little warning labels are there. The siren. The outlet, the snorkel part. Okay, so let's look at the main attraction, which is the ladder. And we'll put the stabilizers out, at least on this side. So we just pull on them from here, and they'll come out. They can come down. So you could see, look, I mean, isn't that incredible? It's really cool. We'll just do this side for now, because we get the picture, right? Let's back this up. Oh. All right. So it does have the cylinders, and they're metal. Cylinder plastic, but it has the metal. And it also has, so we're going to be able to pump water, and it's got, well, figuratively, I guess. And you have this. So the telescoping portion of the piping is metal. You can see how far that goes up. So it has catches right there. And it goes up pretty good. There's some of the ropes, the hoses, your floodlights, tackle box, all that stuff. There's the cradle for the ladder, more floodlights, I think. Pretty sure those are lights. Then you have your lights up top, your windshield wipers. It's cool. If you ever have the chance to get one, you don't want to break the bank, or at least there's one with a good price tag, I suggest it. And I think I'll probably even get the less detailed ones. Just push that up, it kind of stays up there with friction. So yeah, super delicate. It's well constructed. Nothing's like loose. Also amazes me, like, they make something like this and not have any fingerprints or any of that stuff, and nothing's misaligned, nothing's broken. It's incredible. Really is a cool truck. So very, very, very happy to have this truck. It looks good with the other scale stuff. You know, this looks like a toy compared to this, but it's close. I wish it was all New York Fire, but it's all right. You could see their orange can vary, or their red is more orange. So that's what we have to look at today. Not a lot, but a good quality. I'd put it that way. And so my answer was solved. This thing will be covered. We can actually use this. We'll flip it around so it doesn't say Chevy. I got a few of these. And looks good with the diamond plate. A good use for these M2 acrylics cases. And there we go. Now we have dust protection because it needs it. Because if I tried dusting that with a cloth, it would break. And we just don't even want to get dusty. It doesn't need to be dusty. I know it will get dusty. I'm not going to be rolling this around too much just because it's so nice. It looks good in pictures. Maybe we'll do a picture outside with it, with the ladder up and stuff. But I'm going to have to figure out a way to kind of transport it. I think we'll be able to screw the base onto here, and then I'll be able to transport it somewhere without having to worry about all this, because this will all break. It's plastic, so gotta be careful with it. But it deserves to be looked after. It's a really nice piece. So hope everybody finds one. Well, hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, thanks for watching. We looked at some cool vehicles. I'm pretty sure this one's amazing. Look at that. What a beauty. Alright. More to come. Stay tuned. Thanks for all the new subscriptions. Thumbs up helps the channel grow. And we want to reach as many friends of Diecast as we can. Till next time.